Hey guys, Dan and Moxie here. Just a quick word to say we're keeping all of these old UTS podcast episodes available to you, still free of charge, on all of our platforms. But be aware, now that we're independent, we are no longer the official podcast of Cheltenham Saracens Rugby Club.
Also, all of our social media platforms will remain the same, but our SoundCloud page has a brand new address. You can find that at soundcloud.com/the UTS podcast.
You are listening to UTS, the official podcast of Cheltenham Saracens RFC.
Hey guys, and welcome to the September episode of UTS. I'm Dan Lodge. Mark Collier joins me here in almost live from Sherry Corner at our home in King George V. You're listening to the official Cheltenham Saracens RFC podcast. And before we get started, we'd like to mention that this is a completely amateur podcast put together by amateurs for a traditional amateur rugby club. And if you or anyone you know owns a local business in the Cheltenham or Gloucestershire general area and would like to advertise cheaply while supporting a local sports club, please get in touch at utspodcast@gmail.com and set the subject as advertising. Pre-season has been pretty good with two very hard battles. The first on the 20th of August, a loss against quite a strong Newport Saracens side. And on the 27th, we got quite a confident win over Beaconsfield after what can only be described as a very inspired second half display. Definitely a good standard of rugby that we will need to take us into this campaign. And while I'm here, actually, it would be probably quite fitting to give a massive shout out to Beaconsfield RFC, who ran a quick collection, I think it was either before or after their match, I can't quite remember, and actually donated £170 to our Charity Sevens total, which is absolutely fantastic. We can't thank those guys enough for that because, even the teams in Gloucester Premier that us and St Mary's play in haven't done something like that before or after a match, so that's absolutely fantastic for them. Thank you very much.
That's great, guys. Cheers.
That is really, we can't kind of put it into words, but yeah, thank you very much. On the subject of the Sevens, we're also hoping to collect in the last little bits of money that are left within the next few weeks. There's only a couple of people left to settle up with us, so hopefully, although the handing over the cheque tomorrow might not really be possible, we are hoping we can organise some kind of big cheque presentation at their ground down at Trench Lane when we make the trip down in November. Talking of the league, we officially kick off our 2016-2017 campaign with a cup game tomorrow against fellow Gloucester Premier club St Mary's Old Boys. Be honest, Mox, what do you think of our chances?
Well, the boys look good in training. Billy and Jacob, they've done a cracking job getting the boys up to standard. And if it's anything like last year, it should be a cracking game. Hopefully we'll come away with a win. I'm sure we will.
I think we could do with a decent cup run, I think. This month, our senior club coaches and Gloucester Rugby players, Billy Burns and Jake Rowan, join us on the podcast. Both myself and Mox got into quite a good chat with Billy on views for last season, as well as Jake's introduction to the club, both for their expectations for this season, as well as a little bit of a general rugby chat, as well as a little feature, our Quickdraw questions, which is, if you had to pick one or the other, what would you pick, basically. I'm very happy with this episode. I don't think it could have gone much better, even if I had, written the answers for them. And it was great to be able to actually sit down with professional players and actually have a chat about their thoughts on our club, and also a little bit of their background of how they even got into our fantastic sport. So stick your headphones in, sit down, get comfortable, whatever you want to do, and enjoy the show. Even in the early stage of this podcast, I think this is possibly my favourite chat. So whoever's on in the future, the bar is set very high. So yeah, get comfortable and enjoy the show, and we will see you after this. We start off by chatting to Billy Burns, and we discuss how he ended up actually joining the Sarries.
Obviously, Ollie Morse, who was here, 2 years ago now, he was obviously coaching the backs. And I'd always expressed at the club that I wanted to get into coaching the side. I did a little bit of coaching back in my old club in Bath, and it just so happened at that point that he was moving on, obviously due to retiring from rugby and his work commitments, and got a call from Archie, which was nice. And he just asked me if I wanted to come up and join the club. So yeah, I sort of jumped straight at it, and I've enjoyed it ever since. So yeah, I've got Ollie Moore to thank, I guess.
Any particular highlight on or off the pitch?
Oh, it's got to be beating Cheltenham Tigers last year for me. Obviously, I struggled to get to a lot of the games because obviously we're playing normally, but that was massive. None more so, obviously, than the guy I live with coaching their backs, but also it's a massive derby in Cheltenham. And yeah, it was just probably one of the best defensive performances I've seen from a team sort of at this level in my time. So that was probably one that sticks out for me. I was gutted I couldn't get here for the Combination Cup final. But yeah, for me that would be the game that sticks out.
I was going to say, I think for me, I think I mentioned this in the first episode. The highlight for me last season, I think, was beating Cirencester.
Yeah.
Especially being down to 13 men at the last.
Yeah.
And that's not me taking shots at anyone, but for me, just the fact that we were down to 13 for the last 10 minutes, and it was just constantly, they were hammering on the door.
Yeah.
So I think that in the Cheltenham game has got to be.
Yeah, it's got to be up there.
What about you, Lance?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, respect my whole youth at Cheltenham, so getting one over there was just pretty good. quite enjoyed that. I couldn't see much of it because I was doing the barbecue, but never mind, I did enjoy it.
Well, fair enough. Someone's got to man the barbecue. Can't let Glyn do it again. The sausages are literally on fire. And that's not even an exaggeration for those listening at home. He was moving the sausages across, and the fire was going with it.
I wish I was here for that.
Yeah, that was definitely something to see. On the whole, how do you think last season went?
Yeah, I think it was it was a good season. I think it took me a little while to sort of adjust to sort of how amateur rugby works, in the sense that some weeks you'll get a lot to train and some weeks you won't get as many, and sort of adapting to the players you have there. But on a whole, for the club, I think it was quite a good season. We picked up some great wins, and we sort of took some massive strides forward under obviously Leroy, Archie and myself. So yeah, I think it was a positive season. Good thing was we sort of, the things we were trying to implement on our game, we were working on week, and you could see actually come to fruition in the game. So that was probably the best thing. But on a whole, I think it was a good season, but still a lot of room for improvement, and hopefully we'll sort of look to emulate last season and do a bit better this year.
We travelled to St Mary's on Saturday, which for those of you listening at home would be tomorrow. Trench Lane is never an easy place to go. What are your thoughts going into that game? Yeah,
it's going to be a massive fixture. Obviously, when those cup fixtures come out, everyone's hoping for a home draw to get home and get off to an easier start. But that'll be great for the boys. We've had two tough pre-season games, and we've got a lot out of them. So I think we're ready to go down there. It's going to, like I said, it's going to be a very physical battle. They're a great side, and I used to play against St Mary's in my youth actually. They're always a very well drilled team, so we'll have to be on our mettle for sure. But the boys are looking forward to going down there, looking forward to the challenge, and this cup's something that we want to take really seriously this year, and hopefully we can beat those guys and move on. But like I said, it's going to be a tough task, but it'll be a great one to start the season off.
I mean, you mentioned pre-season there. How do you think this pre-season's gone?
Yeah, I think it's been great. I think obviously myself and Jake sort of taking the leader's role of coaching this year with Leroy moving on. There's a few things that we probably would have changed that has probably caught us a little bit off guard, but on a whole, I think it's been good. The numbers we've been getting to training has been good. Obviously, it's always tough with guys sort of on holiday working, etc. But when the boys have been here, they've worked their socks off. So yeah, it's been good. 2 tough pre-season games, like I said, which will put us in good stead, I think, leading into the season. So on a whole, I think it's been good. But probably as coaches, there's probably a few things we'd look to change and adapt for next year.
Well, we have to mention the league, as the league is only just a couple of weeks away. With John Afoe and James Hook working at Long Levens, what's your opinion on going into the league opener against them?
Yeah, it's an extra little bit of bite, isn't it? It's going to be good. It's going to be great. It's one of those we're always talking about it on a Wednesday and Friday after our teams have been obviously training Tuesday and Thursday nights. Sort of how many numbers have you guys got, etc. So it's going to be a great game. It's going to be, obviously, Long Levens has been a tough place for us to go in recent years, but like I said, hopefully if we can get we had a good win the weekend in our first pre-season game, we can go to St Mary's, pick up a result there and get on a little bit of a roll. I think confidence will be high, and although it's going to be a tough game, I think if we go down there and we perform how we know we can, I think we can come away with a positive result. So it's going to be good. Obviously those guys we're both sort of getting into each other about it, but yeah, it's one of those games that if we go down there full of confidence, I think we'll be okay.
During the weekend, actually, there was quite a bit of display on Twitter from Paddy McAllister, who joined in with the training last week. Will there be any more input from him during the season?
Yeah, definitely. He's massively keen to get down there and do some scrummaging, coaching with the boys. Obviously, it's something that me and Jake are trying to bring in this year, trying to bring down a couple of players in key areas just to keep things fresh a little bit. And not only are they, but is Paddy a great coach, but it's good for the boys to sort of have a different face down here. So yeah, he's massively interested in how we go. I think he was actually going to come down and watch the game, but the weather turned for the worse, and he's got a little daughter, so he decided not to. But yeah, hopefully he'll come down. I think he's looking to come down next week as well, just to sort of help us out where we can. And like I said, we're going to try and get a couple of guys down here throughout the year, just to sort of show their faces, give the guys a little bit of a fresh face and extra tips, and go from there. So he's massively interested, like I said, and he'll be down here throughout the year.
Cool. Coming away from the Sarries slightly, tell us a little bit more about your life in rugby.
So I'm originally from Bath, so a little way down the road. Started when I was a youngster.
I can hear all the hardcore Gloucester fans booing as we speak.
But yeah, I've played down there since I was a young lad. I've got 3 older brothers who all play, and my old man as well. And then when I was about 15, 16, I signed my first contract with Bath originally. And then things changed, and I ended up coming up to Gloucester, and I've been there ever since. So I've started since I was a youngster. I've always loved the game. I've always been either watching the game or playing it. So it's always been sort of my chosen sport. And obviously now I'm in a blessed position where I'm lucky enough to play for Gloucester at this moment in time, and it's something that I massively enjoy, and I take great pride in doing. So yeah, it's everything to me.
Any personal goals in rugby? Not just this season, just in general.
I think you ask any young professional player who wants to play rugby for a living, they want to play for their country. Of course they do. For me, I'm still very early on in my rugby career, still only young. But if the dream wasn't to go and play for your country, there'd be something wrong with me. So short term, I just want to be an established player at Gloucester, hopefully playing week in, week out rugby, and then hopefully push to get into that international jersey and play on the big stage. So those would probably be my short term and long term goals, and then see where that puts me.
Do you see anything in rugby after you're playing, like coaching? Is this going to be?
Yeah, definitely. There's
starting early.
Yeah, I've already taken on my level 2 coaching, which I've got, and I'm looking to do my level 3, and that was part of the reason why I wanted to come to Cheltenham Sarries, because obviously you can't just. It's not just as easy as people think. You finish professional rugby and straight away. I know there are a few exceptions, but it's not as easy as that. So I'm trying to gain as much experience as I can, and hopefully, like you said, hopefully it's a long way away. Touch wood when I retire rugby, but. I retire, and hopefully that's a step that I could go into. But like I said, I'm still young. There's still maybe a few things I might want to do after rugby, and coaching may not be one of them. But at this moment, it's definitely an avenue that I see myself pursuing.
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? You've got to make as many roads for yourself.
Yes,
I mean, I know just as much as anyone how difficult it is, because I actually, before I came up to the Sarries, I did football coaching.
Yeah.
And just everything, and I studied at Hartbury. Worked with some top class coaches, and then everything was just catch-22.
Yeah.
You know, oh, sorry, you don't have the experience, so you can't get the job.
Yeah.
And then how, if you don't get the job, how do you get the experience?
Yeah.
So it's good to have that.
Yeah, definitely.
From the early start.
Yeah, I think especially sort of if I can show sort of that I've at my age I've been able to coach guys slightly older than me and coach a successful team of guys who enjoy playing rugby under the way that I like to coach. Then yeah, that'll put me in good stead. So. Hopefully I can just gain as much experience over these years as I can, try and push Cheltenham Sarries along the road and try and get us sort of climbing slowly and see where we go from there.
Highest moment in your career with Gloucester?
Oh,
or with Bath, interestingly enough.
My career with Gloucester, would be last year beating Bath down at the Rec. That was massive for me because obviously I've got a lot of friends still in Bath, and it was a Friday night game, and it was my first time playing down there since I left. And yeah, that was massive. It was not only was it was nice to just get one over on your mates, but it was such a tough game that boys came pretty much crawled off that pitch at the end of it, and to get a result was massive. Winning the Junior World Cup with England 20s was obviously a massive achievement for me down in New Zealand, and that's something that will live in my memory for as long as I live. But yeah, for Gloucester it'd be that game against Bath for sure.
I mean, that's something else actually. I did read about you being like a world champion and that. Maybe this will come across a little bit kind of disparaging to the club or whatever. Do you see that as a little bit of a step down, coming from an England international point to working in what essentially is a public park?
No, definitely not. I think that's something that was definitely sort of hammered into me as a young player coming up through was my old man always said to me, I know it sounds very cliche, but you can't forget where you come from, and I came from a club very similar to this in Bath, and without grassroots rugby you don't get the players that you see on the telly nowadays. Everybody has to start somewhere. So as much as, like you said, you come to a public park and you're coaching down here, I still get the same nerves before a game coaching these guys as I do playing against Bath Rugby on a Friday night or playing against anyone. It might sound like it's just sort of trying to tick boxes, but it's an awesome sort of feeling to be down here coaching guys a little bit older than myself and played the game for a little bit longer time than what I have, and I get as much sort of pride from seeing the guys go out and win a game out on that park as what I do myself playing for Gloucester. So
I was going to say, it must have felt pretty good actually, because we had I can't remember his name now, but he actually tweeted and said, I was watching Cheltenham Saracens at the weekend, and he mentioned how good a job you were doing. That's got to feel pretty good.
Yeah, definitely. I think the great thing with Gloucester is Gloucester do encourage their players to get out there and coach and get out there and get involved in grassroots rugby all the way through the lower levels. They've got a great system now where coaches get sent out to youth clubs and try and coach, and it's just good sort of giving back to the community as well. Obviously, you look at Long Levens, they've got a New Zealand international down there and a Wales international who's got however many caps that he has, and to see those guys giving up their time going down there to coach is great, and it's just great being out there. And like I said, I was once out there playing like these guys, so it just sort of brings you back down to earth and keeps your feet on the ground.
Just last dive in? Sorry.
Yeah, carry on.
Obviously being involved with the under-14s, and you said you brought up the youth and whatever. There's a few guys I think that listen to this. Have you got any sort of tips for the youngsters coming up? And
I think the main thing I'd say is obviously you've got the ones that everybody says you've got to go out there and enjoy it. If you don't enjoy it, it's not worth doing it. But also just understanding at that age you've just got to take in as much as you can. And I was very much I struggled to take criticism a lot when I was younger, and looking back on it now, that was probably my biggest mistake. Is you've got to realise as a youngster that guys are giving you criticism to make you a better player, and you've just got to take that in, whether you agree, disagree. You've got to understand that and just try and adapt on the game. And also, again, I was probably guilty of it, is don't just work on the things you know you're good at. We can all go out there and kick a ball if you're good at it, but it's those tackling, it's those rucking drills, etc. Try and work on them, keep sort of leveling your game, and you've got to be an all-round player to go up in the levels, and you can't just be a great at doing this but not at the other. So I think just making sure that whatever the drills are, whatever the skills are, try and enjoy them, get out there, give them your all, and take criticism on and take sort of constructive criticism well, and try and build your game.
Yeah. Cool. Right. Again, I asked on Facebook for people to ask questions.
Yeah.
I was given 2 by Buster.
Solid. I'm expecting these to be tough.
Yeah. The one I'm going to ask you is, does Jacob still clean Matt Kvesic's boots?
That's a question you have to ask him. I don't feel I'm in a position to answer that question. But if you had told me anybody in the club who's going to ask that question, I would have guessed Buster.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll leave that one to Jake to answer.
You can ask him that one, Dan.
Yeah, why not? Yeah, I'll do that. I'll ask him when Jake comes up. One final question. What are your expectations for this season? league, bit of a cup run, maybe combination cup?
Yeah, I get asked this question a lot actually by people outside the club and at the club, and it's maybe a bit of a boring answer. I don't like to look too far ahead. I feel like potentially we've got the potential to have something great at this club this year, not only in the first team but across. I think what we've got this year, which we maybe lacked a little bit last year, is we've got great strength and depth, and there'll be guys who don't get selected for that first team it'll be hard to explain why. It's going to be sort of how people train and stuff like that. So expectations, I think will go well. Obviously, there's certain things that we can't control, but if the guys show the desire that they've showed in training so far, and put sort of what we asked them to put on the field, I feel like we'll be in a pretty good position, and I feel like we could have a really, really sort of exciting season and take this club in the right direction for sure. But like I said, we'll sort of, I think me and Jake have spoke about, we'll sort of look at it in 4 or 5 week blocks and reassess after that, and when we come to sort of end the season, see where we're at and sort of review from there. But on a whole, I think it's going to be a successful season, and we've got sort of high expectations for sure.
Cool. Any last minute social media plugs? Throw a Twitter link out there.
Absolutely none at all. None at all. I don't want to plug anyone apart from. Oh, who do I want to plug? No, I don't. No, I'm all good. Not gonna.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us.
No worries. Cheers, guys.
Cheers. So just to kick things off, you joined at the start of this season. How did you end up joining, and how did you, what had you heard before coming on board?
Last season, I think when the forwards coach couldn't make a couple of sessions, Billy Burns asked me to come down and do a little bit with the forwards. Really enjoyed it, and then the opportunity to work with them full time came up at the end of last season. I jumped on it.
What were your expectations coming into the club?
I knew there's some decent players. It was a good club, a good community, a lot of people that work hard and want to do well. So they were my expectations really, and they were met. So we've got an ambitious group. We want to do well this season, so we're looking forward to it.
I'm assuming when you joined it lived up to the hype, because I don't know what Billy told you, but so yeah, did it meet your expectations?
Yeah, it did. Yeah, thoroughly enjoying it. Great bunch of lads. Everyone, like I say, everyone wants to work hard and learn and get better and win. Ultimately that's our goal.
Just to throw a bit of controversy in early, is there anyone that stands out in training?
We've got a few players so far. I saw the pre-season game last week. Me and Bill were down, and some great performances there. Look at our backs, some defensively. I thought Butts and Jack Lawrence did really well, and we've got Gar Rogers as well in the second row, who's putting a hell of a shift.
What are your thoughts on pre-season?
I think it's gone pretty well. I mean, you might speak to players, you might get a different view, but on a whole, I think we've learned a bit. We've got fitter from the way we started on the first pre-season session. We're a much fitter outfit, and I think it's going to give us good stead moving forward.
We mentioned this to Billy. Actually, we start the competitive season this Saturday or tomorrow, as this goes out on Friday. St Mary's Our Boys away. How are you and Bill approaching that?
West seeing as the first game of the season, we want to get off to a flying start. We'll select our strongest squad available, and we'll go down there looking to win.
We mentioned this, and I think Billy mentioned there had been a bit of a couple of things said starting the season, the league campaign, away to Long Levens, who are coached by James Hook and John Afoa. What are your thoughts going into that game?
There's been a bit of talk to and fro at training camp at Hartbury, but I'm sure it'll be in good spirits. We want to go there and win, obviously. It's a big game for us. It's a bit of rivalry between the coaches, but we'll put that to one side, and it's about the performance really and the players on the pitch.
So it's not one of those if you don't win, just don't come back.
I don't think so. No, probably take a bit of stick, but hopefully we're giving them stick on Monday morning.
Fair enough. Coming away from the Surreys a little bit, can you tell us a bit more about your life in rugby?
I first started out playing when I was about 9 or 10 for school. I I then made my way to Leeds. They were Leeds Tykes at the time, now Yorkshire Carnegie, when I was about 15, 16, and progressed through the ranks there, and I left there at 24 and came to Gloucester, which I'm in my third season.
Has it been much of an adaptation to step up to the higher level?
Initially, yeah. I think I say the physicality is pretty similar, but in terms of pace and thinking under pressure and the time to think is a lot different. It's a lot higher in the Premiership. Yeah, so hopefully coping with it okay.
I did read online, I don't know whether you've heard this or not, how does it feel to be the youngest Yorkshire Carnegie captain?
Yeah, it was pretty pleasing at the time when I got given the nod. We were in the Championship at the time. We had a pretty young squad, so they looked to me, which was good, but we had a few leaders in the team which helped. But I think now that Jack Walker, an academy graduate, has been given the armband, so congratulations to him.
I believe you're an England under-20s captain a couple years ago as well?
Yeah, a long time ago that was.
Would you say that's... I don't think that's that long ago.
It was about 6 years ago.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, 26 now.
Well, there you go.
Not as current as Bill Burns over there, DOR, Charlton Sarries.
Is that the highlight of your career so far, or what would you classify as your...
I think it's obviously great to represent your country at age group level, but I think playing with Gloucester and playing the Premiership at the highest league in the country, I think it's a good achievement, and we won the trophy with Gloucester in the European Cup a couple of seasons ago, so I think looking forward, trying to emulate something more like that would be highly recognisable in my career.
What are the goals for after you finish playing?
Good question. Not that sure at the moment. It's quite a tough progression, I think, from being a rugby player to coming outside. But if I can done a few level coaching qualifications, and obviously working with the Sarries gives me a bit of experience and background there. It might be something I can look into.
Save you getting a real job, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Any tips that you could give the under-14s?
I think it's really develop your core skills, your tackling, your passing, your communication. The way you see the game, the way you see different scenarios, different visions, and it's using that skill and seeing it repetitively and working hard and training on the pitch, and that'll give you a good stead going forward. And I think as well, if you can just stick at it, keep turning up for training. I know you have a lot around that 14, 15 time with the GCSEs and stuff, but if you get that work-life balance pretty good, then there's no reason that you can kick on and play higher up.
Just one last question. Any expectations for this season?
I think we could just build gradually. I think we've come a long way since the start of pre-season. We don't want to set ourselves, too much to do at the moment. But if we focus on performance week in, week out, and get better at training, I think we can go in the right direction and really push us forward.
Are we looking? I'm just going to come out and just ask this straight away. Are we looking to add another combination cup to the cabinet?
I'd like to think so, yeah.
4 in a row would be nice.
Yeah. I don't think anyone's won it more than 5, so we need to win it another 3 times.
Like I said, we don't go out there to lose games. We want to go out there and win everything. So.
Oh, just while I was thinking then, again we've had a question from Buster. I was hoping Billy wouldn't be sat there. But
actually, I think it makes it even better that he sat there.
Obviously, we're not going to ask Billy this, but he wants to know who's better, Billy or Freddie.
Billy or Freddie?
No pressure.
Have you met his brother Sam? He's loads better.
I like this. Answered like a proper politician. He's actually not going with either of the options and actually just making his own.
Yeah, his other brothers are better, Jack and Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think that adds overly well in the Billy Burns camp at all. I think that's pretty much it. Any social media plugs? If you're on Twitter or whatever.
What? Do you want me to plug Sarries? No.
Yeah, you can do if you want.
Yeah. Tune into Cheltenham Sarries podcast every first Friday of the month.
I like the way
Insight from Billy Burns, DOR, Gloucester number 10. So many strings to his bow. And that's about it, really. I think.
He's pretending he can't hear. Awesome.
No worries. Thanks, guys.
Very much. Cheers.
Yeah,
Some of these are fantastic.
Here we go.
This was his idea.
I'm going to struggle to
entirely.
answer some of these.
This was his idea entirely, just in case this goes
Yeah.
completely wrong. I'm taking no
they're
responsibility.
basically just quick fire questions.
Right.
Right, your preference really.
Yeah.
4x4 or sports car?
Sports car.
4x4.
North or south?
North. Oh, gosh. What have I said there?
The North. Did you? From Bash.
Bacon or sausage?
Sausage.
Bacon.
This might be a bit skewed with what's just happened, but the Football World Cup or Olympics?
Football World Cup. Hands down.
Oh, I'd say Olympics.
Red or brown sauce?
Red.
Red sauce.
Would you rather win the league or win the European Cup?
Oh, gosh.
And both isn't an answer.
Oh, that's a tough question. I would rather win the league.
Is the European Cup the Heineken, like the
Yeah,
Europe
yeah.
champ?
Yeah.
That one.
Heineken.
European, yeah.
Okay.
What did you say? Did you? I'd love a Heineken Cup.
Toes as fingers or fingers as toes?
Oh my god, who's come up with these? Toes as fingers
That was
or
my favourite
fingers
one.
as toes? It's got to be fingers as toes. Because at least I can hide them then, eh?
Yeah.
Oh, see, I went the other way. I said fingers as toes because then I could like pick stuff up with my feet.
Well, I think there's an argument for both answers there, isn't there?
Toes as fingers or fingers as toes? Probably fingers as toes.
Is there
might-
a reason for that?
You sort of hide them a bit better, can't you? Although you would have exceptionally large feet.
The old one. If you're a superhero, who would you be and why?
Oh, if I was a superhero, who would I be and why? That is so hard. I'd be Batman just because he's so cool. I just love everything about him, Batman.
Oof, superhero. What did Bill say?
You have to listen and find out.
Iron Man, I reckon.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Why's that?
He seems to have got a lot going on, doesn't he? He's pretty clever. Does alright with the women.
There we go.
I like the way he's given a proper thought to this. Rather than just Batman because he's awesome.
Yeah.
Got another one here. Apart from obviously Sweet Caroline, what's your karaoke song of choice?
My karaoke song of choice, if you ask me to sing it afterwards, I'm not going to do it, would be...
I thought we were saving that for the Christmas episode.
I've got a couple. I like Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror.
Okay.
A
Yeah.
little bit emotional, but that's probably my favourite.
I can do R. Kelly Ignition. That's my bus song. It's my go-to if I ever get called out on it.
There you go.
You doing it now?
I'm not sure you need it now. No.
So there you go, guys. A massive thanks to Jake and Billy for joining us on our September episode of UTS. Hopefully the quick draw questions was a bit of an entertaining feature. We might see a little bit of that in the future. It depends who's on and whether they're interested in taking part with that. I thought that was a pretty good interview. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And I really can't thank them for taking the time out of actually coaching a session, taking it in turns to coach and to chat with us. So yeah, massive thanks to them. Season is just around the corner, as we mentioned at the start of the podcast. And we actually take to the pitch tomorrow as we kick off our competitive campaign at Trench Lane against St Mary's Old Boys in the Gloucestershire Senior Vars quarter-final. This should be a great match. Hopefully as entertaining as the last match when we faced them at the end of the season. I think it was back in April, which saw both teams actually scoring for fun, which made for a great game. A little bit better in the fact that we came out on top, but I think, even if we hadn't, I still think that would have been a fantastic game. For those making the trip down to Bristol, and hopefully there will be a few of you to get behind the lads, that's a 3 p.m. kickoff at Trench Lane. The Gloucester Premier season kicks off the following weekend on September 10th as we make the shorter trip to Long Levens. Again, that's a 3 p.m. at Longford Lane. September 17th, the following weekend after that, we host our first league fixture at home, and obviously against North Bristol. What was actually a little bit of a feisty affair when the two teams last met at KGV, but hopefully we'll be on the winning end of that. There isn't a league fixture for the 24th, as I think this may be put aside for the second round of the county Vars, the senior Vars, so we can't bring you anything on that right now, but keep your eyes peeled at Chelt Sarries RFC on the Twitter for more information. The second and third teams are at home tomorrow, and they start their campaigns, not competitive, just friendlies as far as I'm aware, as the second teams host Minchinhampton and the thirds face Westbury on Sevens. As far as I know, both of those games are a 3 p.m. kickoff at King George V. And as it sounds, as I mentioned just now, the league campaigns aren't underway. I don't think those actually start until the start of October, so we'll bring you all of that information on our October episode. And again, for any updates throughout September for the second and third teams, check out the club Twitter page or the club's website, cheltenhamsaracensrugby.com. As we're talking fixtures, how are the under-14s looking this season, Mox?
Now the schools are going back, we're hoping to get most of, if not all of our players back to training. Our first game is less than 4 weeks away. Well, our first game in the Cup, County Cup, is less than 4 weeks away. We don't know the fixtures just yet. Obviously, we'll let you know who we've got. We do have a potential match penciled in on the 18th against Cheltenham Tigers, but again, we'll let you know if that actually goes ahead. The good thing is, now we're entering September, we can introduce contact into training, so the boys should be happy with that, as long as we can keep away from any injuries with quite a small squad we've got at the minute. So on that, we're looking for players, so if anyone listening knows of any boys interested in playing, please get in touch with us on Facebook. You can email at cheltsaracensrfc@gmail.com, or you can get us on Twitter at cheltsaracensrfc. They need to be going into year 9 of senior school this September. That's the only stipulation, really.
Cool. Any last minute mentions that we need to put out there for the upcoming month, September?
Yeah, this Sunday we've got a big, massive match. 2 legends of the game. We've got Mark Harris against Pete Lodge. This is known as their throw your boots away match. It's this Sunday, as I say. Kick-off is at 2 o'clock. So if you can come down for this, it should be a great game, and there's plenty of legends on show.
Awesome. So there you go. September 4th, I think it's Harry Heroes versus Lodge's Legends at KGV, 2 o'clock kickoff. If you're not too stupidly hungover from Saturday night, please feel free to join us. I have no doubt Hair of the Dog will be able to help the vast majority of you. But I think that's pretty much it. Sounds like it's time to wrap things up. Once again, massive thanks to Billy and Jake for coming on and taking up their time to appear on the show. Also a big thanks to Kevin McLeod of Incompetech.com for our use of the background music Motherload, which we use royalty free under the Creative Commons license 3.0. And a massive thank you to you at home, or not even at home, maybe you're driving home, maybe you're on public transport, whatever it happens to be, wherever you are, a massive thanks to you. Don't forget, if you're a member of the club, local rugby follower, a general rugby fan, or just a sporting podcast fan, head over to soundcloud.com/CheltenhamSaracenRFC and give us a follow. Or alternatively, if you're not a SoundCloud kind of person but you do have an iPhone, look us up on iTunes, search Cheltenham Saracens RFC or the UTS podcast, and don't forget to subscribe, rate and review. Any feedback at all is more than welcome. Well, there you go, that's another show under our belts. We are back October 7th, so hopefully we'll see you then. Thanks.
Up the Saris.